How's it going there, everybody? It's Mr. Zen over here bringing you guys a brand new Boku no Hīrō Academia episode discussion. And for today's segment, guys, we're going to be talking about is episode 7. And in this episode, guys, we actually get to see the first fight of the tournament between all the UA Academy students. And that in itself, the first fight is Midoriya versus Shinzo. And that in itself, guys, this fight was very interesting because we actually finally get to witness Shinzo's actual brainwash quirk in full action, folks, against Midoriya. And Midoriya actually broke everybody's expectations as to what was going on. And even in Shinzo's fight, everybody in the whole anime community was just wondering, what the heck did frickin' Midoriya see in his vision? Yes, folks, if you guys saw the episode, you guys, of course, are familiar that the one for all that Midoriya possesses was passed down from generation to generation. And yes, folks, that in itself was very interesting because of the fact that Midoriya was actually helped out by his predecessors in order for Midoriya to actually win against Shinzo himself. That I personally thought that maybe that's what in a sense was there to help, but does that mean that the predecessors are also involved inside Midoriya's actual development for One For All? Because does that actually makes me very interested in actually the fact that how does One For All actually work? How does it develop? Like, does it develop differently for every single person that gets One For All? That when they inherit the powers, it actually transforms and mutates through, like, you know, through evolution. It gets more and more stronger to develop in the time that there are. And like I said, Midoriya's time, it's going to become something more developed and more powerful. That it's going to actually transcend every other quirk every single time. And honestly, in my opinion, in Midoriya's case, it just seems that it's just pure sheer force and strength. That's my honest opinion, that like that's a One For All is actually heading towards. It's just that's just how intense it is. But needless to say, that I do want to talk a little bit more about is Shinzo, folks. Shinzo himself, even though he may have lost against Midoriya, even though involved with, you know, of course, you know, with Midoriya actually being helped out with the One For All and stuff, but what Shinzo was saying to Midoriya was actually very pivotal in this arc because of the fact that, as you guys can see, not everybody gets involved in the hero course, you know. Shinzo in itself wants to get involved in the hero course, but because his power doesn't really involve itself with much physical prowess, like Midoriya's case, it really is physical prowess. Instead, Midoriya actually, you know, he's focusing and training in order to possess that. But instead, Shinzo, in a sense, is kind of going for more towards a route that he wants to make that quirk something that is actually rememberable, and you could say it's actually very helpful towards the community, because we actually see that Shinzo is actually seen more as a villain. He's seen as a villain, but that's because of the fact that, you know, brainwashing is seen something as someone that has that ability. They would use it to their own advantages and being selfish, and of course, in human nature, we all want to do things our own way. Of course, Shinzo would be seen as a very antagonistic person, but in reality, no, he's not. He's trying to prove to everybody, to the whole world, that no, that this quirk can be used for good. And even people in the crowd themselves were saying that, you know, how can someone this very powerful of a quirk be in general studies? You know, this guy deserves more praise than he actually deserves to be. And I personally thought that was, in a sense, very true to the case, because the hero course is very ambiguous, but because of the fact that everybody's more towards that, like I said, into that physical prowess, of course, Shinzo can't really go towards that route. He has to get in through another specific way, and through general studies, he can actually make that quirk his own ability. But I'm hoping that Shinzo's case, they actually involve him more in the character arc story of the whole general story overall, because Shinzo, in a sense, he's kind of like Professor Xavier, guys. This guy is really OP. In a case, he really is. To every other person, yes, he's OP, but, you know, of course, in Midoriya's case, that really is not really working for him, because he has help of his descendants, or I'm sorry, his ancestors that involved with the One For All himself. Like I said, and even Midoriya actually asked, if I remember correctly, he asked him, he really did, guys. He asked All Might, what was that he saw in there? And it seemed to me that All Might kind of dodged the question there. He was being very ambiguous. I'm hoping that in the anime or in the manga, because I haven't read the whole entire manga yet, I kind of stopped, but I'm hoping that they actually develop that more in the character arc story overall. I personally want to see what's going on with that case too, how the One for All actually develops differently towards every other person. But like I said, that was very interesting. Like I said, Shinzo's fight, still practically very, very well thought out. Now we're moving on to is Todoroki versus Zero. That fight, in a sense, was very quickly overrun, but that's because of the fact that we see Todoroki actually he's still frustrated at the fact that his father, the hero Endeavor, is basically saying, you're gonna use my quirk regardless, no matter what. There's gonna be a time where you're gonna have to use it, and you're gonna have to stop this teenage rebellion. And of course, Todoroki's just kind of giving him that cold shoulder, no pun intended, but he's giving him that cold shoulder because of the fact that he wants to prove to Endeavor that I don't need your quirk. I can go only alone, which is my mother's. And it actually showcased it in this episode. He did his most powerful attack and froze practically the whole entire arena. And by doing so, he gave Zero no chance of winning whatsoever. He drastically showed the difference in power between him and the other students. And that, in a sense, it was very interesting, not only because of seeing all the other students, but it goes to show that Todoroki himself, he's trying to prove that, that his ambition is stronger than his father's ambition. He wants to prove that not only can he win just by using one quirk, but that ability that his father has, it's not necessarily the strongest ability. That's what he's trying to prove. It's not necessarily an ability that needs to be out there. In my opinion, seeing that fight was very entertaining, and seeing how very anticlimactic the crowd was at. I personally did not think the crowd was actually going to cheer for Zero. It was very hilarious, but in reality, they were actually cheering for more was the fact that they didn't want to hurt his feelings, because Zero did try. Zero did freaking try, guys. Poor guy though. He's still one of my favorite characters overall, just because the fact that he reminds me of Spider-Man. That's pretty interesting. But like I said, that's it for today's 7, guys. That's all I can think of right now on the spot. But let me know down in the comments below as to what are you guys' thoughts on episode 7 of Boku no Hero Academy. I personally thought, like I said, I'm very interested in the fact of seeing more is that the One for All. I'm hoping and seeing Shinzo as well as a character developing as the story goes on. I'm hoping that he actually gets more screen time too at the same time, because his quirk is very, very well, and I'm hoping if he does turn villain later on in the future, that just goes along to say, like, that'd be very interesting to see. If not villain, at least like kind of turning the tides against the heroes themselves. That like I said, seeing Shinzo kind of rifting between good and evil, that would be a very interesting plot device for Shinzo. But like I said, let me know down in the comments, and as always, guys, what are you guys' thoughts also on Midoriya's One for All as well? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, what other predecessors did they actually show? I haven't read the manga, so let me know down in the comments. Maybe spoil me just a little bit, But like I said, let me know. And as always, guys, hope you guys are having a wonderful day. But this is Mr. Zen signing out.